Welcome to video podcast number 68. Initially, as you know from my last video, I wasn't planning on doing another free video until probably Monday or Tuesday of next week. But I wanted to try to briefly emphasize something that really has already been emphasized, but because I've gotten a few email questions and Facebook inbox messages, including not only from female listeners and viewers of mine, but at least, I want to say 3 women, wrote me questions. Now, as you probably heard over the last 24 hours, if not a little longer, former NBC Today host Matt Lauer got terminated from NBC because of accusations and allegations of sexual harassment and sexual misconduct. Matt Lauer is married. Let me point that out. He's married with 3 children. Some of the things he's been accused of is just pulling out his dick in his work office, when he was traveling for the Winter Olympics, inviting women to his hotel room. Women who were subordinates of his, staff producers of his. Motherfucker was out of control. But the reason I'm doing this video is because of all these allegations of sexual harassment, sexual misconduct. And then along with that, some of these guys have been accused of groping women and variations of sexual assault, such as rape or date rape. People have been asking me, not only men, but in the last 24 hours, I've had at least 3 women that asked me this question. They said, Alan, since you're the author of Mo 1, how do you feel about these allegations, and will this inhibit men's ability to exhibit Mo 1 behavior? Do you think this will cause men to become reluctant to exhibit Mo 1 behavior? To answer that directly, hell no. Hell no. None of these incidences have anything to do with Mo 1. Let me make that clear. I made that clear in at least 1, if not 2 previous video podcasts of mine. None of these accusations and allegations of sexual harassment. Well, number 1, let's start off with the accusations of rape, date rape, and or physical groping. None of that shit ain't got nothing to do with Mo 1. In any way, shape, or form. Okay? So anything to do with trying to force a woman and or physically coerce a woman into having sex with you has nothing to do with Mo 1. Nothing. Absolutely. There's no connection whatsoever. So that's an easy one to dismiss. Anything that involves, again, rape, date rape, groping women, or any form of physical sexual assault has no connection whatsoever with Mo 1. Before I continue, bye. You know this is my second favorite drink next to Vitamin Water Zero. One thing I like about Bai, as you can see the flavor, they have peach. That's my favorite flavor of any beverage, is peach flavored. I used to drink peach Snapple like crazy. So this is called Narino Peach. Okay. So anything to do with sexual assault, anything to do that's representative of trying to coerce or physically force a woman to have sex with you has nothing to do with Mode 1. I call that going through the back door. Remember I did the video where I talked about there's 3 ways you can try to get a woman in bed? And that's going through the front door, the side door, the back door. Anything that's representative of trying to force or physically coerce a woman into having sex with you, I consider that going through the back door. That means you're going through the back door to try to have sex with a woman. The side door is anytime you're lying to women, mislead women, or trying to basically somehow trick women into having sex with you, and particularly short-term, non-monogamous, casual sex with you. That's what I call going through the side door. Is anytime you're using dishonest behavior, misleading behavior, or somehow in a real sneaky, subtle way you're trying to trick a woman into having sex with you, and particularly casual sex with you. I call that going through the side door. And most of these, just about all of these instances that I've read about from guys from the entertainment industry, guys from media, guys from the business world, world of politics, just about all of these instances center around backdoor behavior or side door behavior. Backdoor behavior or side door behavior. It ain't front door behavior. I have yet to read an instance where a woman just simply said, yeah, I'm accusing this guy of sexual harassment because he told me he was interested in having sex with me, and I told him that I wasn't interested, and then he just kept on persistently bugging me. I haven't heard one instance like that. I haven't heard one instance like that. That's what Mode 1 is. Again, most of my longtime followers know this, so I'm preaching to the choir. Most of the people who've read all of my books thoroughly understand this about Mode 1, so I'm preaching to the choir. But for those of you who really don't know what Mode 1 is about, that's what Mode 1 is about, man. Mode 1 is about confidently and straightforwardly letting women know that you have an interest in exchanging orgasms with them, period. And ultimately they either say yay or nay. They either say yay or nay. Here's the problem. Here's why most men don't exhibit Mode 1 behavior. Here's why most men don't exhibit Mode 1 behavior. It's because they don't like the nay part. They like the yay part, but they don't like the nay part. And here's, there's been this buzzword by feminists over the last, 2, 3, 4 years that I've heard that they refer to as toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity. Now I'm going to tell you something that's going to surprise some of my male listeners and viewers. And I know for my male haters and critics, it's going to cause a lot of them to call Alan Roger Currie a male feminist and or a white knight or even a simp. Men got so many definitions nowadays for simp, it ain't even funny. But I'm going to tell you something, man. There's some situations where I'm in agreement with the concept of toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity. Most men in the manosphere, they hate that term. They think that's the term that just that feminists use excessively and inappropriately, and in many cases they do. Here's where I agree with that concept, and here's where I disagree with the assertion that men are guilty of toxic masculinity. There's some women, and particularly radical feminist type, which is the #1 group of women I don't care for, who believe that if a man just simply exhibits behavior that's highly sexual, period, just highly sexual in nature, period, that's representative of toxic masculinity. That's where I call bullshit. That's where I call bullshit. A man being sexual, period, is not representative of toxic masculinity. So on that end, that's bullshit. It is in a human being's nature to be sexual for both men and women. It's in our nature to be sexual. There's nothing wrong with being sexual in general. So to say that any man who exhibits any form of sexualized behavior, erotic behavior, sensual behavior, whatever you want to call it, is representative of toxic masculinity, that's bullshit. So in that instance, I'm on the man's side. I'm on men's side in terms of their criticisms of that concept. Here's where I'm on the women's side, though. Here's where I'm on the women's side when it comes to the allegation of toxic masculinity. And I've addressed this in various ways in at least a handful of my previous video podcasts. I have issues. Matter of fact, I did a video a few weeks ago called Face the Facts, Women Are Winning the So-Called Gender War. Face the facts, women are winning the so-called gender war. Now, I mentioned in regards to that video, that was the most highly commented video I've ever had to date. Starting with my very first video podcast back in early April, all the way up until now. That's the most comments and reply comments I've ever had for any single video of mine. Was that video, Face the Facts. But a close second, my second top video in terms of how many comments and reply comments it provoked in my comments section, next to that video was my video that where I criticized men for feeling entitled to the romantic and sexual companionship of beautiful, sexy women. See, here's the problem. This is why I got to just flat out criticize members of my own gender. And this has been a problem not only just in recent years or in recent decades. This has been a problem probably ever since, I would argue, at the beginning of time. You got too many men out here that want to fuck women that don't want to give them any pussy. Period. Let me repeat that. You got too many men out here that are trying to fuck women that have absolutely positively no interest in having sex with those men. That's why you have sexual assault. That's why you have forms of sexual assault such as rape and date rape. That's why you got guys groping bitches. You got too many fucking men out here that's trying to fuck women that have no interest in having those men fucked up. I'm not cool with that shit. Never have been. Matter of fact, if you remember, for those of you who live in the United Kingdom and specifically London, if you remember, if you watch either were at the event live or you watched the video of when I was at the very first, what was called the Direct Dating Summit Weekend Conferences for Men. It was organized by a dating coach named Sasha Daygame. And that's where me and David X were first on stage at the same time. Because that's probably the #1 dating coach that has been most frequently compared to my style of teaching is David X. Now, speaking of the video, if there's one part of the video that Sasha Daygame didn't include in the video, he actually purposely excluded it. But for those that were at the event live, they'll remember I got into a little philosophical tiff with this popular pickup artist named Yad, Y-A-D, Yad. Some guys have told me he was at one point considered the top pickup artist in London, if not the United Kingdom as a whole. Yeah, he was considered like the top pickup artist in London by many men. He actually got on stage and took a jab at Mo 1. He basically said, I can't remember the exact words, but it was to the effect of, he said he felt like verbalizing, a man choosing to verbalize their sexual desires, interests, and intentions to a woman would be detrimental to their efforts in trying to seduce a woman. He said the more preferable way to get women in bed is to emphasize sub-communication. A lot of pickup artists use this term. That's a popular buzzword among a lot of pickup artists, is sub-communication. What it means to sub-communicate stuff to women is when, basically, in simple terms, if you let a woman know you want to fuck her without verbally letting a woman know you want to fuck her, that means you're sub-communicating. Like, your basic emphasis is on trying to let women know you're interested in them sexually through non-verbal means. Things like your body language, your eye contact, the way you position your body in position to their body. Basically, anything non-verbal. If you're communicating sexual interest to a woman in some kind of non-verbal way, that means you're sub-communicating your sexual desires and interests to a woman. And that's what Yad and a lot of conventional pickup artists believe in. They don't believe in being verbally direct with women, such as guys like David X and myself do. They believe in basically being indirect. Verbally, they believe in being verbally indirect. They believe in being physically direct, but verbally indirect. Whereas, as most people who know me know, for me, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. The quickest point between, what's the old adage? The quickest, shortest point between 2 points, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. I believe in getting straight to the point, man. I once did a blog talk radio episode with a date rape specialist. She's an advocate for preventing date rape. Her name is Katie Costner. Now, this woman is all about helping women prevent instances of date rape, and as well as helping men prevent charges of date rape. Do you know her and 2 or 3 of her colleagues, when I interviewed them on my show, they endorsed Mode 1. Now, this is a woman who's an advocate for date rape prevention, and she endorsed Mode 1. Because she realized that Mode 1, man, cuts through the bullshit, man. Mode 1 cuts through the bullshit. You wouldn't have 95 to 99% of these charges, accusations, and allegations of sexual harassment, sexual misconduct if these guys would have simply been Mode 1. It's not illegal to let a woman know that you have an interest in being physically and sexually intimate with her. That's not illegal. It's not morally unethical either. You want to know one of the reasons why they put sexual harassment in place? I want to say it started in the main event. I mentioned this before. The main event that started this whole sexual harassment type thing was when Anita Hill used to work for current Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. And she came forth with charges that he was constantly trying to harass her and pressure her into having sex with him. And at minimum, he was always trying to engage in triple X-rated conversations with her. And then from that point on, a lot of companies and corporations start adopting sexual harassment policies. Here's the thing about sexual harassment and sexual misconduct, man. If you're a man, you can't be trying to fuck one of your subordinates. That's just stupid. Okay, let's just put it out there. That's just stupid. I don't care how beautiful your subordinate is, how super sexy she is. You trying to see here's the position that puts a woman in, and this is where I'm actually empathetic to women. in these situations, man, is that if you're a woman and you're working for a guy and you have aspirations of moving up in that company, but you have a male supervisor who says, hey, you know, if you suck my dick, I'll help you get promoted. A woman's going to be scared to just flat out say, no, you know, Mr. Robinson, I don't want to suck your dick, because she's scared that now she ain't going to get promoted. So, but she doesn't want to just say, yes, I do want to suck your dick, because that'll make her just look like a fucking, just a workplace whore. So she's kind of stuck in a catch-22. Like, she don't want to give a definite reciprocation, particularly if she's not interested in sucking the dick of her male supervisor, but she don't want to get a definite no because she's scared that might hurt her career. And that's why sexual harassment laws and policies and procedures were put in place to prevent women from being in that position. And even more so, man, there's a lot of guys, man, back in the day, particularly in industries like the entertainment industry, media, and many industries. And there's some guys, man, that would just blatantly grope their female subordinates, man, without even, like, hesitation. I've heard stories from women I know in real life, not stories I read in the internet or in a newspaper magazine. I know women who told me stories, older women, like women close to my mother's age, you know, that told me stories about how bosses would just regularly grab them on their ass and shit. Or at minimum, just pat them on the ass without even fear of retaliation or consequence. That shit used to go back on, man, back as far back as like the 1930s, 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, 80s. Yeah, man, a lot of guys would just regularly and blatantly just physically grab the butts or thighs of their female subordinates, man. I mean, if you're a guy who got a girlfriend or a fiance or a wife, would you want your girlfriend, fiance, or wife working for a dude who just feels like he's entitled to just grab your girlfriend, fiance, or wife's ass? I mean, seriously, would you? Would you be cool with that? Dude, if I was married and my wife told me that her boss just randomly and blatantly grabbed her ass, I'd go to her job ready to kick that motherfucker's ass. So that's one of the reasons why you have sexual harassment laws and policies and procedures in place. Is, again, it goes back under the title of, there's a lot of men out here, man, who think they're entitled to women's sexual companionship. Oh, anyway, I went off on a little segue. I was talking about Yad in sub-communication. Yad said something interesting when he was on stage while he was taking jabs at Mo 1. Here's what he said, and in his defense, a lot of men feel this way. He said, basically, I don't want to fuck a woman who wants to fuck me. That's what he essentially said. I'm not going to say those were his actual 100% exact words, but essentially that's what he said. He said, one problem I have, this is what he said. He said, here's the problem. He didn't say Mo 1. He said more so verbally direct. He said, here's that problem I have with being verbally direct. He said, with most classy type women, I believe being verbally direct about your sexual desires and interests and intentions is not going to be effective. And he said for those women that it does work on, I wouldn't want to fuck those women anyway, because that would mean those women are slags. He said, I don't want a woman to have sex with a woman who would be that quick to want to have casual sex with me. And again, in his partial defense, I know other men who've said that to me, whether it be in person, at workshops, or on message boards. So, it's weird, man. That's the thing that's weird about a lot of men. Some men, man, they don't want to have sex with women, particularly casual sex. A lot of men don't want to have casual sex with women who they feel are too easily willing to indulge in casual sex. They consider that type of woman not a challenge. One thing guys have always heard me say, man, I'm just the opposite. I only want to fuck women who want me to fuck them. I only want to have a one-night stand with a woman who wants to have a one-night stand. I only want to have a weekend fling with a woman that wants to have a weekend fling. I only want to engage in non-monogamous sex with women who want to engage in non-monogamous sex. I'm not trying to trick women into having casual sex with me. And that's why you have guys who are indirect. See, a lot of guys, again, going back to the front door, side door, back door, they want to use the side door. They want to trick women into having casual sex with them. Here's the most common form of tricking a woman is you meet a woman, you give her the misleading impression that you want to be her next long-term boyfriend, and because she thinks you're genuine about that interest, she ends up having sex with you, but then after you have sex with her 2 times, 5 times, 10 times, you just dump her. See, that would be an example of you tricked that woman into having casual sex with her. She didn't agree to have casual sex with you. You tricked her into it. And the reason why a lot of guys do that is because they want to get women who don't normally engage in casual sex to have casual sex with them. I'm not down with that shit, man. That's why I wrote that article, which I'll probably post below in my comment section. One of my first articles on the Negro Manosphere was called, "There Are Ethics to Getting Laid." There are ethics to getting laid. That's what prompted that. That's what prompted me to write Mode 1, period. That's what Mode 1 was. One of my motivations for writing Mode 1 was to, I mentioned this, I think, in a recent video about, I said all of my books were not only advice-driven books, but at least a small portion of each one of my books is been representative of an admonishment to men. An admonishment to men. One of my admonishments in Mode 1 is I admonish men who are verbal cowards, who try to trick women into having casual sex with them instead of straightforwardly telling women they want to have casual sex with them. So again, when it comes to me siding with men on issues that separate men and women, and me siding with women on issues that separate men and women, when it comes to anything related to men feeling entitled, I'm on the side of women, man. I'm on the side of women. Y'all can call me a male feminist all you want to. You can call me a white knight. You can call me whatever, like I said, simp. Some guys have called me a handful of times since I've been on YouTube. Whenever I co-sign with something women believe in, or side with women, or defend women. But, man, dude, there's a lot of women out here that simply don't want to fuck you. They don't want you to fuck them, period. What's hard to understand about that shit? There's some women who don't want to have sex with you, period. Period. And then second to that, there's some women that don't want to have casual sex with you. They might be interested in long-term monogamous sex with you, but they ain't interested in short-term non-monogamous sex with you. But because you're scared of being rejected, you don't want to be rejected, you try to trick women into having short-term non-monogamous sex with you. I say that's bullshit, man. I will never co-sign with any guy who has those type of attitudes towards women. Fuck you dudes. Fuck all you motherfuckers who are in that category. I can't stand you motherfuckers, man. I can't stand motherfuckers, man, who try to trick women into having sex with them. Getting women drunk and then taking advantage of them, or getting women drugged up and trying to take advantage of them. Man, fuck all you motherfuckers, man, in that category. So anyway, without making this too much longer, man, for those asking, how do these various sexual allegations and accusations and charges of sexual misconduct and sexual harassment negatively affect the Mode 1 approach? It doesn't. It doesn't. I briefly briefly addressed this in my original Mode 1 book about being Mode 1 with coworkers. Here's the only thing you got to watch out for when it comes to being Mode 1 with coworkers, business colleagues, that type of thing, is your language. Not so much the intent, but the language. You can't be going up to a woman and saying, a coworker of yours or a subordinate of yours, and saying, hey, you know, Linda, I want to slap my dick in your mouth. You can't say that type of shit to a coworker. But you can tell a coworker of yours that you find her attractive and that you would like to spend some time with her away from work. Nobody can suspend you or fire you for that unless there's a non-fraternizing policy in your company. Now, some companies and corporations, they have what's known as a non-fraternizing policy. That means you can't be flirtatious towards any of your coworkers, colleagues, subordinates at all. Yeah, there's a percentage of companies and corporations here in the United States, I don't know about international companies, that have a non-fraternizing policy. Yeah, that if your company, so you need to check your company or corporation. If they have a non-fraternizing policy, that means that you can't be romantically or sexually flirtatious with any coworker, colleague, or subordinate or supervisor at all, in any way, shape, or form. But if you don't have a non-fraternizing policy, then you can express a basic PG-13 interest in a woman. Nobody can charge you with harassment or misconduct for that. Again, this is what true harassment is. Even though some companies might modify it or skew it for their own self-serving purposes. But harassment is when you express an interest in a woman, she lets you know at least one time that she's not interested in having sex with you, and you continue to hit on her anyway. That's harassment. That's true harassment. Is when you hit on a woman sexually, romantically or sexually, she rejects you, and you keep hitting on her again and again after that in a persistent and annoying manner anyway. That's harassment. That's harassment. If a woman tells you at least one time, hey, I'm not attracted to you, I'm not interested in sharing your company, and you say, okay, fine, after that one time she tells you she's not interested, if a woman tells you she's not interested, and right there, and you say, okay, fine, and you leave that woman alone, you never hit on her again, that's not harassment. That's not harassment. No woman can accuse you of harassment. A woman can only truly, legitimately accuse you of harassment when she's rejected you at least once, rebuffed you at least once, and you continue in a persistent and or annoying manner to keep hitting on it. So, my general advice to guys when it comes to trying to hook up with women that you work with, if you're a woman on the same level, I would say go for it, watch your language. But if a woman's a subordinate of yours, man, I would stay away from that shit, bro. You putting yourself in a compromising position. If a woman is a subordinate of yours, meaning that she reports to you, you are her boss or you're her supervisor, nah, man. You got to be beyond reproach. You got to be beyond, man, there's too many women you don't work with for you to be trying to fuck women that work for you. It's bad enough you try to fuck women that work with you, but you shouldn't be trying to fuck women that work for you. No, that's a bad move, man. That's a bad move. That's my opinion. Now, most of you are grown men. You're gonna do what the fuck you want to do. But I'm saying to you, if you want my advice, in my opinion, that's a bad move, man. But yeah, if you're gonna be Mode 1 with women in the workplace, the main thing again, two things: watch your language. Don't use any triple X-rated language. If you're going to express an interest in hooking up with a woman, do it away from work premises. Don't do it while you're on work premises. Do it with the woman while you're away from work premises. I would say that's number one. Like say at a happy hour or something, or some coworker's party, house party. Do it off work premises. Watch your language. And if the woman rejects you, even in a subtle way, leave her the fuck alone. And that goes, again, I'm going to emphasize this for the 100th millionth time. That goes even away from the workplace. If a woman rejects your ass, if a woman lets you know she's not fucking attracted to you sexually, that she has no interest in your dick sliding in her pussy, leave that woman the fuck alone, man. Leave that woman the fuck alone. Again, man, ain't none of you men entitled to any woman's romantic and or sexual companionship. If we want to use the word entitled, you know I fell out with a podcast host over the whole issue of entitlement. Because he said that Elliot Rodgers was entitled to his preferences. And I'll reiterate again. You might be entitled to desire a woman's companionship. So I would never say a man is not entitled to desire a woman's romantic or sexual companionship. But in terms of being entitled to actually have a woman's access to a woman's romantic and sexual companionship, no, you're not. You ain't entitled to shit. Believe that. You ain't entitled to shit. And that's why you find that rape is far more prevalent among men than it is among women. Now, granted, there have been, I actually know about documented incidences where women, usually a group of women more so than one woman individually, have date raped a guy. But by and large, we know that most instances of rape and date rape are initiated and perpetuated by men. And not only is it because men are usually bigger and stronger, but men have an entitlement problem, man. Men, a lot of men, I ain't gonna say all men, but there's a good percentage of men in society, man, that literally, typically I would say that most men who are usually guilty of this is men with a high degree of power and influence, and to a lesser degree wealth. A lot of men who have a combination of wealth and power and influence, they tend to feel like they're entitled to sexual companionship. See, you gotta realize, man, a lot of the reason why a lot of men, and particularly older men, I'd say men, particularly men 45 years of age or older, over half the reason why most men who are 45 years of age or older want wealth, power, and influence is so they can have access to young, beautiful, sexy women. Hell, that's the main thing that drives. Number one, I would say that's the number one thing that drives a lot of men, period. And I would say particularly men who are 45 years of age or older. That's the number. Dude, that's what drives a lot of men. That's what drives a lot of men's ambitions. Their drive to be successful career-wise, their desire to be successful financially, and their desire to accumulate power and influence is so that they can have access to the sexual companionship of young, beautiful, sexy women. A lot of men who are 45 years of age or older, man, if I'm being just bluntly honest, they don't want to hook up with women their own age. Most men, particularly men who have wealth and power and influence and status, most men who are 45 years of age or older who have those things, they ain't trying to hook up with no woman who's 45 years of age or older. They're not. And if you women are listening, older women are listening, I think y'all know that realistically. Y'all know that. That's the truth, man. Most men who are 45 years of age or older, who have wealth, fame, power, influence, status, they ain't trying to hook up with no woman who's 45 years of age or older. They're trying to hook up with women in their 20s and early 30s. Even in some cases, they're trying to hook up with women who are like still in their teenage years, at least 18 and 19. That's what most men who are really, really driven at an older age, that's half of what drives them, man, is they want access to young, like you notice Charlie Rose, who was one of my idols. I noticed that all the women he hit on ranged in age from 21 to 37. He didn't hit on no women that were 38 years of age or older. Yeah, they documented the age of all the women he hit on. All the women that Charlie Rose hit on and that accused him of sexual misconduct were ranged from as young as 21 to no older than 37. Most of these men who have been accused of sexual misconduct has been with women in their 20s and 30s, if not 18 and 19. Like Roy Moore, he's been accused of the congressman. He's been accused of hitting on women that were 17 years of age or younger. That's what I'm telling you, man. And most of you men know this. I'm not telling you nothing you don't know as a man, as a heterosexual man. Most men who are 45 years of age or older, again, who either already have wealth, fame, power, influence, status, or are shooting for those things, that's the main reason why. It's because they want access, they want sexual access to women who are between roughly 18 and 35. Between 18 and 35. And again, there's nothing wrong with older men desiring the sexual companionship of younger women. I would never criticize that for a second. But when you cross that line where you go from simply desiring a woman's sexual companionship to feeling like you're entitled to a woman's companionship, that's toxic masculinity. That's toxic masculinity. Desiring a woman's sexual companionship is not representative of toxic masculinity. But feeling that you're entitled to a woman's sexual companionship, yes. Again, I'm on women's side on that. That's representative of toxic masculinity. And that has no place in the Mode 1 world. So Mode 1 ain't got shit to do with all these sexual allegations, accusations, and charges of sexual harassment and sexual misconduct. These motherfuckers are not Mode 1 because they don't have the balls to be Mode 1. They scared of rejection. Like a lot of motherfuckers are. A lot of motherfuckers are. Again, Mode 1 is when you let women know your sexual desires and interests in a confident and straightforward manner, and the woman either ultimately is going to say yay or nay. If the woman says nay, you got to leave that woman alone and move on to the next woman. Period. Period. I'm out. Peace.
Yes, sir.
Say it again.
Yes, sir.
Who's the king?
Alan, you're the king.
Say it again.
Alan, you're the king. You're dominating me.
Say it again.
Alan, you're dominating me right now. Mode 1.
Mode 1.
Daddy, can I go, please? You're the king.
Say it again.
Oh, you're the fucking king. Yes. Yes. Yes.
You're the king, Alan.
AKA the king of verbal seduction. You know, it's the tone of your voice, how seductive your intonations are, the vibrations that you could just reach out over the phone lines and stroke a woman's breast just by the sound of your voice, how you could make her pussy so wet just by the sound of your voice. That's actually very hot.
So you said my show was what?
I said your show is powerful.
Oh, say it again.
Your show is powerful.
I bet the king would fuck me really good.
Oh, yeah. Who's the king?
Alan Roger Currie.
Oh, yeah. Who's the king?
Alan Roger Currie. The king.
The king.
The king.